Okay, so we plan to have evolutions in Robinhood to improve your experience, but Gabriel showed that with little tunings we could get it better. So I thank you and goodbye. So this talk is about the next major version of Robinhood. The last time we increased this major release number was in 2009 when we based it on a persistent database backend, and we introduced support for innovative features like cluster changelogs. And since this time, there have been more and more users with more and more idea of use case that could be covered by Robinhood. So after these years of feedback, we thought about the good ways to address these needs, and this is what this is about. So the first motivation for this version 3 is to address more use case. Currently, the number of the policies that Robinhood implements is quite limited and static. You can schedule migration, purge, HSM system. But there are many other things we would like to do to manage the file system. Basically, implement trash mechanism, rebalance OSTs, perform data migration between pools. More and more sites start having different technologies in their Lustre file system, having SSDs and spinning disks. So a bad way to implement this would be to implement new policies in Robinhood code with specific handling of each of these policies. But it would be a wrong thing for code maintainability. And moreover, there could be specific needs on sites, like performing some data post-processing or checking regularly data integrity of files. We wanted to make it possible to implement all of this with Robinhood. Moreover, we wanted to be to manage this in a single Robinhood instance. Currently you have different flavors. If you want to manage file deletion, you had one installation. If you wanted to manage HSM policies, you had another instance. So we wanted to fix that and to have a single instance that managed the file system and implement all you want to schedule on it. First goal is to make Robinhood even more generic, so you can do all of this and more. Another interesting thing we would like for a new version is to interact with site environments. Basically, it would be interesting to have some input from job scheduler to influence policies. The start of policies or the amount of data you want to migrate, depending on how full is your cluster, how busy is your file system, etc. This is also interesting to have a coupling with monitoring infrastructures as an input to decide when it can load the file system for data migration, for example, or as an output to gather information from Robinhood to fill a site monitoring system. Another interesting interaction would be with the HSM backend itself. For example, it would be nice not triggering many archive requests when the system is already busy reading back files from tapes. An idea in this V3 design is also to have Robinhood modular with a kind of plugin system, so that you can have plugins for binding it with your job scheduler, or add a module to bind it with your specific HSM backend. So the goal is to allow vendors to provide separate packages and install them together with Robinhood to enable it to handle such things. Make the system in life better has always been a motivation in Robinhood, so it will still continue. But with more generic implementation, we will definitely eliminate the need to write scripts to perform massive operations on the file system. There are new Lustre features like job IDs that would be interesting to add in Robinhood statistics, to always have a better understanding of what's in the file system and who are the users who create files, who perform the activity. Of course, improve perhaps NND features in previous versions, and still improve robustness. It's not nice to deal with crashes or whatever. And last but not least, we wanted to get ready for next generations of system, in particular in terms of scalability, which is definitely, there's definitely something to be done, in particular to face D&E workload. But also, I was telling about migration policies to manage heterogeneity of file systems. And also we believe that object tools will be more and more popular in big HPC sites to handle exascale workloads. So we want to adapt Robinhood to be on such systems, to benefit from its feature on such storage paradigms. So this is what Robinhood V3 is about. I'm talking here about a release cycle. I mean, all these nice things won't be as soon as 3.0. It will be more step-by-step implementation, starting from V3.0 with big changes already in V3.0. And then there will be quickly 3.1, 3.2 to complete this evolution. So the first step is turning Robinhood to a generic policy framework to allow scheduling many things. And also it will be plugin based, thus allowing vendors to provide specific support for HSM infrastructures or binding to job schedulers or whatever. As a second step, we will enrich this plugin ecosystem by providing new features in this framework. We have also plans to improve the workflows, especially for HSM or for database ingestion improvements. And in all these 3.x have the possibility to horizontally distribute the work, also take benefits of new Lustre features to scan quickly, and support of new storage system like object store. So this is the big picture of V3 architecture. So what has been done is moving out of Robinhood core or purpose specific code. The core is now generic. There is no specific code for Lustre HSM or specific code for purging, archiving, etc. all specific things have been moved out of the core as plugins in overall dynamic libraries that are loaded at runtime when you start your Robinhood daemon or common. Most policy aspects have been made configurable, so you can easily define your whole policies just by configuration. So here we can see different kind of plugins that I will describe now. So in the 3.0 there will be two kind of plugins, and you will see that in next version the goal is to pluginify everything. So the first kind of plugin is Status Manager. It manages a state machine per entry, which is basically the case for the storage HSM purpose when depending on the incoming changelog we infer the status of entries. So this could possibly also interact with external components like HSM backend to determine what is the status of an entry. The other kind of plugin is for actions. So there are in 3.0 there are two action plugins that are provided. There is a common module that provides basic operations like moving, copying data. And there is a LHSM module that provides archive and release functions. The interest of this compared to command line that you can already specify in V2 is avoid the cost of forking external actions. So actions are now fully configurable for each policy or for each policy rule. And this can be easily specified like this in the configuration. You give the name of the module and the function you want to use in it. And this automatically loads the related plugin without you have to explicitly load it. These are the other plugins we plan to implement hopefully for 3.1. So triggers in Robinhood are to start a policy application depending on an event on the file system. So currently there are triggers like start purging data from an OST when it's full. And we would like, in the future, we would like to have things like start to a policy run on this directory when a job ends, for example. So this implies interaction with the environment. So we could imagine a Slurm trigger that would allow this. Another things to make configurable is attributes or policy criteria. There was an example on Monday where people want to drive purge policies depending on the phase of the moon or whatever. There can be many criteria for policy decisions. So to allow this, we would like to, like other things, to be able to add plugins that implements a given criteria. Also, having new attributes in the database mean providing report features for them. And last but not least, so currently the Robinhood relies on MySQL database. So at the time we made this decision, it was for performance issues, for performance considerations. We did comparison between MySQL and PostgreSQL, and also MySQL was maintained by Sun, just like Lustre. So it was a natural choice. It's time to choose MySQL. Now, after MySQL went to Oracle and became MariaDB, we are not sure about what it can become. So it's a good idea to support multiple database backend. The more popular ones are PostgreSQL and MySQL in the world of open source. So it's a good idea to support both for the future. Moreover, PostgreSQL has interesting features for distributing the load on several servers, like BDR or PGChart, which would enable Robinhood for horizontal scalability if the database is the limitation. So the idea is to have such connectors that you can install with Robinhood for different backends. There are other databases that could be supported like this. We are looking at MongoDB also, for example. At the very beginning, I was talking about having all policy implementation in a single instance. So this is the current status of Robinhood distribution and what it allows. We have currently one flavor for managing Scratch file system, one for which is kind of rsync to archive Lustre file system to a backend before Lustre 2.5, and of course HSM. So each of these only allow particular actions. So when you run Lustre HSM, you have a specific package, a specific prefix of commands. It's unending. And if you want to have other policies like deleting files, you cannot install both on the same file system, so it's a real limitation. Robinhood D3 will only be shipped as a single RPM that will allow implementing all policies. So the implementation is very generic, and all specific aspects will be provided as policy templates you include in the configuration file, or for very specific needs, these can be these kind of dynamic libraries to implement this. So now you can scale perhaps all you want. So this is an example of a new policy. I just tried how would I write in the configuration if I wanted to migrate my data in between pools depending on their type. So in 4 lines I declare a move policy. I give a scope. So the scope is what kind of entries does it apply to. Here I want to do this policy for files that have not been already migrated or whose migration was failed. I specify an action for the policy. I can use here placeholders for configurable parameters. And this is just a basic status manager provided by Robinhood to manage OK or fail status. Then I can write policy rules just like in V2 by specifying a given target file class. Here I want to move movies to pool 1 using a stripe count of 2. And I want to do this at least 6 hours after the file has been last modified. For other, here I want to move my big HPC files to another pool with larger stripe counts. And these parameters you specify are used here to execute the right action on the files. So it's configurable, but we wanted to keep it easy for previous users or previous version to implement the policy they used to have. So in v3 you just need to include, there are templates, you just need to include the flavor you used to have in your Robinhood v2 configuration. Here's an example for Lustre HSM. And specify your rules as usual, with a little change here in the name of the policy. Migration policy renamed to LHSM archive to make it more explicit. As you can now specify many different policies. We wanted to make it more explicit and avoid confusions with pool migration, for example. Here there is an interesting point here. The status manager of Lustre HSM or any status manager can implement new criteria, specific criteria. So here this parameter here is not built in Robinhood core implementation, but it's provided by this Lustre HSM status manager as a specific attribute for the policy. So this is more. This was 3.0. This is 3.1. So what we plan to there are several workflows we would like to improve. The first thing about Lustre HSM is that Robinhood in previous flavors had mostly to handle synchronous actions. With HSM, archive is asynchronous, so there is a workflow issue where Robinhood will enqueue a lot of things to Lustre coordinator, and this might result in overloading the MDS if you don't limit the number of files you submit for each archive policy. So this is an improvement we would like to make, to have a rate limitation on the submission of archive requests to the coordinator. Asynchronous accounting. So accounting feature in Robinhood is the fact of aggregating file system statistics so that it's immediately available to the administrator or to chart it on a monitoring system. So for example, it's getting the number of released files in the file system, the number of the file size profile for a given user. So this is something which is which is built on the fly when processing change logs or when scanning. So it's immediately available. But it causes a performance drop when you enable it. So when you currently, when you scale, you want to use Robinhood mainly for scaling policies, and you don't care about user statistics, it's a good idea to disable it. But we have so many ideas of interesting statistics we would like to implement. We wanted to make this more efficient, so we can have more and more interesting stats about the file system. So one goal of this is to make this on-the-fly processing more asynchronous and possibly distribute it to a different node, on a different server, and also possibly on a different database, which would, so in this case we would have one database for the incoming changelog information and one database for this aggregated statistics. So here we are gaining in horizontal scalability too. And once we will have done that, we will add more statistics like changelog counter per users, would be interesting. And also, it would be very interesting to add job ID information trackers. As Gabriel showed in his study, there are also things to be improved in Lustre to be able to implement such a user and policy engine. The first thing is getting the list of entries for file system. Currently, Robinhood just does a POSIX scan. It reads here and get entries and retrieve the information about the entries from the POSIX namespace. And we think that this could improve the scan speed performance by getting directly a list from the MDT device. To avoid dependencies with Lustre internal, we would like to do it through a changelog-like API. Just like it does currently for changelogs, Robinhood would open a changelog stream, get the whole list of entries, and we expect that this will automatically improve the initial scan speed. The second point is shown by the graphic of Gabriel, where you have many open-close operations. So this can be surprising because Robinhood doesn't care about file content, so it doesn't have to open files. Actually, this is a side effect of liblustre API calls that open file to perform I/O control, like get stripe, things like that. And we see that most of this open-close traffic is could be avoided by keeping some file descriptor open in Lustre, like the directory Lustre /feed or the root of the file system. So the research here worked by Cray of creating a new Lustre API with different licensing. And they plan also to have an optimized handling of such calls by keeping some file descriptor open to optimize the way Robinhood gets the information from Lustre. So as a conclusion, I think it's a new area for the product because it's opened the voice to many new usage. I think many things that I don't even expect. The key point is that you can schedule all what you can imagine, or we try to do this. Very specific needs can be implemented as plugins. Vendors can provide as a different package, and we like to allow interactions with the environment. So the 3.0 is not the last stop, and there are still changes on the way for next release to offer always more features, improve performance, scalability, new storage systems. And I didn't talk about the milestones, but v3.0 code is almost completed now, so it could be used really soon as a beta, and I think we'll reach a production level at the beginning of 2016. Any question?
Okay, it seems everybody is hungry, so I'll stop there. Thank you.